Hi, this is Eran Stern, and in these upcoming tutorials I want to show you the important things of how to use the broadcast graphic templates which I've prepared using Boris Continuum Complete. I'll walk you through some of the important stuff from text treatment to color changing, working with different bit depth, replacing some logo, changing the duration, and controlling the camera moves. I will give you some tips and tricks how to use these templates wisely, and along the way I will share some advice of how to make the most from this collection. In this tutorial we will deal with text treatment, how to change the text and how to use the Boris Continuum Complete text engine along with the After Effects text engine. In this case I will show you at least 2 examples, because obviously this is the heart of this collection, changing the text and making your openers look as good as possible. So after downloading the product and extracting the files, you will see at least 3 items. We will deal with the first 2 here. So the content gallery PDF, the templates, and of course the tutorial folders where you will find all the tutorials that we are now seeing. So let's start with this important PDF document. I'm going to double click on it and it will launch using the PDF reader. This file is a great place to start because it has preview of everything that this collection has. So we have video previews of everything, and it also includes some keywords, so you will be able to press Command F on the Mac, Control F on the PC, and just search for something. So for example, let's search for sci-fi and then hit return. Now you can press on the thumbnail and it will start playing a short preview so you can see exactly what this template has to offer. Now, of course, if you want to see everything in one document, you can press on this icon. This will reduce the document size so you can see everything in one go. But I'm going to stick with this view and just going to play some of this so you will get a sense of how to work with this document. Very, very easy and very simple. So if you find something that you want to use, just look for the name inside the templates folder. So once again, let's click to activate this one. We can see the nice autumn leaves. This is a great template to use to accompany some weather report or some season atmosphere. So you get the idea. It's very simple. Let's go with the outer space once again. I'm going to play it because I want to change this text to a different exploration program. So say that we have some kind of a solar system program that we want to use this template as an opener. So I'm going to hide Adobe Reader, and then under the templates, I'm going to identify the outer space and basically double click on it. But before opening the After Effects project, be aware that some of the templates also include unique fonts which you need to install if you want to use this design. Of course, you can always change your mind, replace the fonts, or even not installing it and just work with your own. But I strongly recommend to install these fonts so you will start from the same place that I did. To install those fonts on both Windows and Mac, just double click on the font and basically press here. You will have a similar dialog if you're working on the PC. Make sure to do this before you are launching After Effects, so all the fonts will be in the system and After Effects will be able to read them. Of course, I already installed those, so let's just begin by double click and opening this project file. You might get this warning saying that the project must be converted from version 10.0.1 to whatever version you are working in. The reason is that all those templates files are saved as version CS5 of Adobe After Effects to maximize compatibility to everyone. So in this case, just press OK and make sure to save it before you will start, because right now it says Untitled Project. So the first thing to do is to go under File, Save, and then give it your own name. I'm going to call this one Solar System because I know that this is what I want to type instead of outer space, and I'm just going to press Save. Now I'm also going to change the resolution to fit up to 100%. So we'll see everything in the comp. All the composition in this product are the same size, meaning Full HD, 1920 by 1080, and all of them are in the same duration of 10 seconds. In a later tutorial, I will show you how to reduce the size and also change the duration if you need less or more. In this composition, I just want to change the text in order for it to say something else. Now, I just want to zoom in a little bit in order for us to see that the letters themselves has actually different texture. So the first and the second line actually behave differently. We want to change the letters here, of course, keeping all those nice attributes to the letters themselves. In this composition, as well as the other ones, you will see that all you need to do is just identify the cyan layers, meaning those two layers. These are the layers that you need to worry about. I took the time and colorized all the rest to a gray label, meaning that they won't stand up, so you won't be bothered with them, and you just need to worry about those two layers of text. By the way, it doesn't mean that you can't edit and work on the other layers. Of course, you can choose whatever you like. This is, of course, After Effects, so you have all the possibilities to change and modify this project as much as you need. But if you just want to go quickly in and out of these projects, all you need to worry about is those cyan layers. So let's start with the main text here. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm also going to make sure that my CTI, my current time indicator, is on these markers. And this is how the project should open for you as well. If not, just make sure that you are seeing both of the text, because some of the letters have animators on them. And you can see that there is some kind of an indication. If we are going to double click on this, I wrote down that there are text animators. Make sure to note them. So if you're changing the text, and this is just After Effects text, so be aware that in some cases, there are some animations. Anyway, let's start here with changing the words. So once again, select the text layer here, go to the effect controls. If you don't see it, just go under effect and ask it to show itself under effect controls. And now under the BCC extruded text, you will find the edit text button. Just click on it and you will be entered into the BCC extruded text interface. I'm just going to press on this little t in order for me to see all the text attributes. And here inside this interface, you can basically change each one of the words or even the letters, and even modify all these attributes on its own. So let's select the first word here and just type down solar, and then select the second line and let's type down system. Now in this case, you will see that the word system is actually longer than the word solar. I'm going to apply this so you'll get a sense of how this might look. And if you want to change the letters or the word, you can actually do it inside the text editor. So once again, press on the edit text. And here in this case, you can select only one word and you can change the size of the font. Now be aware, don't use these buttons, because although this is a selected text, if you will change it, it will change both. So if this happens to you, just press cancel and then once again press on edit text, select the word that you like to change, and let's start with 100, and then I'm going to press tab in order to accept the changes. Now it almost works, so it might need a little bit of a trial and error. So let's say 103. And I think that this is close enough to what we need. So I'm going to press apply and that's it. It's going to change itself, keeping all the attributes in place. In this case, if you like to scale the whole thing as a group, you can go down the list here and under transformations, make sure to change the master scale. Now in this case, we have keyframes for the master scale. So be aware that if you are changing those, you're actually going to affect the animation. So press U and just identify where is the last keyframe. In my case, it is over here. So I'm going to press J in order to move to this keyframe and just change it to something bigger. Let's say 100. All the rest will be taken care by the animation itself of the camera and everything. So now you can see this is much bigger. Of course, now it's a little bit too much because it might be cut from the title safe action. So it's always a good idea to keep the text inside the inner square here. So once again, I'm going to go to the previous keyframe by pressing J and maybe change it just a touch less. So maybe 90, and then park the cursor here. And I think that this is good enough for what we need. So I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and press on this icon to hide the title safe area. Now let's work on the After Effects text on the line below. This is even simpler. Just double click on the text to highlight it and just replace it with whatever you like. So in this case, I'm going to write down "Are we alone?" ? It's always interesting to know. And basically this is it. This is how simple it is to change and modify the text attributes. If you want to check how everything is looking, go to the beginning of this composition and create a quick run preview. And so this is how the final result of this will look after we changed the text. It was very easy to do. And of course, now that you check that it is working according to what you were hoping, you need to render and save the file. Now I want to show you another example of text treatment with a little bit of color finessing as well. So let's choose a different template to work on. Actually, let's just go with the one that is just near this one. So I'm going to once again play the preview for you so you can see this is a nice nightlife which might be suitable for some detective show, maybe some kind of a club and music show. Let's go with the club theme and change it very quickly. So we need to open the nightlife template. I'm going to once again go to my Finder and just locate the nightlife. These are all alphabetically ordered here. Once again, we have a font to install, so make sure to double click and install this font if you don't have it on your system. And after doing so, let's just double click and open this template. I'm going to save the changes that we did for the previous one. And once again, I'm going to approve to convert this project as well. Now, same as before, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see more of the composition. And in this case, I'm not even going to bother saving this. I'm just going to quickly show you how to change the text. So as before, just look for the cyan layers. So in my case here, there are two. The first one will be the text layer. Once again, let's go to the effect controls and choose edit text. Now, instead of nightlife, let's just type something else. I'm going to type the club. And I'm just going to apply it. Now, of course, it will replace everything. If you need to work, by the way, on the kerning of the letters, so in this case, I might want the U and the L to be a little bit closer so it will match all the others. You need actually to do it from the text editor. So make sure the type cursor is between the U and the L, and then you can actually work on the kerning and just make those a little bit closer, then press apply, and you will see that they will stick together a little bit more nicely in terms of all the rest. Of course, there is more treatment here. If you want to check it out, you can open the letter transformation. You can see there are keyframes for the tracking of the letters. This is what makes those letters just squeeze into their place. So if you want, you can, of course, work on this, but I'm going to leave the template as is because I like the design. What I want to do is just change here the tagline. Instead of something always happening, let's just type something else, maybe all night long. So once again, just double click on this. This is a basic After Effects text, so nothing too fancy here. And I'm just going to hold down Shift, so all the letters will be capital letters. And I'm going to type all night long. Okay, great. Now I'm going to press enter on my numeric keyboard to accept this text. Let's close this paragraph window and just select this text and align it to the right. Now in this case, I can't see the boundaries of the layers, so I'm going to go to the view menu and make sure to show layer controls. On some of the project they are hidden. And now I'm just going to drag this and just align it to the far right side of this text. I just think that this looks a little bit better. And if you are working on this, let's also increase the type a little bit. So instead of 90, let's go maybe with 120, just to make it a little bit more obvious, and just drag it to place. And by the way, it's always a good practice to press U just to see what are the keyframes for this layer, and just make sure that you are not modifying the position keyframes, because some of these layers have a little bit of animation into them. In this case, this is just a range selector animator, so we are actually free to do whatever we like with those text. And we can even give them a little bit more space just to be able to read them a little bit easier. So maybe even go with 75. So the opposite of this look. And then once again, let's just make it visible a little bit better in the scene. And basically this is it. We changed it. It is ready for prime time. Now, before generating a RAM preview to check the result, I want to show you a quick way to colorize this. We'll have a full tutorial on colorizing things, but just to quickly show you another approach, I'm going to go to the project panel and open up the solid here. And then I'm just going to drag one of this solid and place it on top of everything. Then I'm going to convert it to an adjustment layer. Now let's go to the effects and presets, open up the BCC8 color and tones category, and let's scroll down until we see this multi-tone mix and double click on it in order to apply it to the whole composition. Now this multi-tone will completely change the colors of what you are seeing. So you have to be a little bit careful and play with it. First of all, most of the impact will be here under the midpoint level. So if I'm going to go instead of 128 here to around 10, then we'll have a different impact. And then to check different looks, you can actually open it and just use this slider and basically drag it all the way to the opposite side. Now we have a different look just by using the multi-tone mix. Now this is before and after. And of course, like every effect in the BCC category, you have a lot of presets to investigate. So for example, let's go with the custom grayscale blue channel just to see the impact of this. And we can see that this has a minor change. But if you want to emphasize it, you can either use the overlay control, and this will control exactly the same thing. So if I'm going to drag it all the way until the top, you can see that this is exactly what it does. Or of course, if you want to moderate it, you can actually plug in some numbers. So let's say 50 in this case, and you will get a different result. Let's just quickly check another one. So I'm going to press and hold in order to see all the list here. And there are a few psychedelic themes here. So for example, let's go with the invert tint yellow just to see what this will give us. And this of course will completely change the look and feel of what we had. And remember that you have the options to change the midpoint level in order to get a completely different look. So in this example, let's change it to 200 and see what we are getting. Maybe even push it all the way up. So 255. And this will give us this interesting look. And of course, you can always change the colors themselves. So instead of yellow, let's choose something else, maybe a tint of orange here, and it will be reflected in the theme. So this is a quick and surprising way to change the colors of the templates. Just make sure to play with those numbers and choose something which will suit your needs. So I'm going to highlight it once again. Let's go back to this one. I really like the feeling that this adds to our theme. So let's just exaggerate it to 255. This gives us this nice warm look. And as always with adjustment layers, you can select it. I'm going to name this one multi-tone mix, and you can press T and then just play with the opacity of the whole layer. So maybe 50% in this case will bring back some of the original colors. And of course you have a lot of other options. Just play with the blending mode and see what you will get. So maybe I'll even go with 75% just to increase the contrast here. And then let's go to the beginning of the composition and create a run preview to check the final result. And there you have it. You see how easy it was to change the text and even modify the colors of this template. In the next tutorials, I will show you a few other tips and tricks regarding colors and of course text changing as well. Until then, this is Eran Stern. Thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. Hey, this is Eran Stern. And in this tutorial, I want to show you how you can colorize one of the templates inside the broadcast graphic templates based on Boris Continuum Complete. Now, as always, I'll recommend to start with the content gallery PDF. So I'm going to double click it. In this document, you will find video previews for all the templates. So if you like to take a closer look at some of them, you can just press on it, and a nice short preview will be played. And then of course you can choose whatever you like to use this one or not. Let's scroll down and maybe find something else to color. I think that we'll use this one, the rock star theme. This is a great one if you want to create an opener for a singing reality contest, or we will actually use it to create some interludes for maybe a music chart. So I'm going to hide this for a moment, then go to the templates folder, and then under Rockstar, I'm just going to double click on this template. If you are working on a higher version than CS5, you will have to convert it to the version that you are working on. So I'm going to press OK, and the project will be open. And then I'm going to press Ctrl or Command S in order to save myself a copy. And then I'm going to call this one chart. So in this case, I want to use this template in order to create some titles for our music chart. And of course, we will go with number 1. So first off, you'll need to identify the 3D text. As always, it is marked with the cyan color. So this layer obviously is the one that we need to worry about. So I'm going to select this one and then go to the effect controls. And then I'm going to press on the edit text and quickly edit my text. So I'm going to say number, and here I'm going to say 1. Now, just in order for it to look a little bit more interesting, I'm going to go to the beginning of this line. And if you are working on a Mac version, you need to hold down Option and just type 8. This will create this tiny dot. Then I'm going to press spacebar just to space out the letters. And if you're working on a PC, you need to remember this combination. Hold down Alt and then press on this sequence on your numpad. It's going to be 0149. All in sequence will create the same shape, the same circle dot. And this is just something that will look a little bit more interesting. Now I'm going to press apply, and here we have it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we'll have a better understanding of everything that we are seeing here. I don't want to touch anything else. I do like to play a little bit with the colors. So one option will be to create an adjustment layer and try to colorize everything in one go. However, it's not going to work in all circumstances, and I want to show you how you can overcome this problem if it won't work for you. So I'm going to head back to the project panel, and under solids, I'm just going to drag one of my adjustment layers and basically place it above everything. Now, since we dragged it from the project panel, we have to convert it here to an adjustment layer. Now we can freely colorize the shot. I'm going to start with the colorize effect under the BCC color and tone. Since my adjustment layer is highlighted, I can double click in order to apply it. Now, as always, you can choose a presets from here. So let's say the heatwave preset, for example, and this of course will colorize everything. There are also a couple of presets over here to choose from. So if you want to try those, you are more than welcome to do so. However, those will change everything in the shot. Now you have a couple of options how to treat those. First, you can control what channels are going to be affected. So in this case, we are affecting the Luma channel, but we can go and just affect the red channel if we want to create a different look. And this might work for you. You can always try different one as well. So this is, for example, the treatment only for the green. And this, of course, will give you the result for the blue. Now, this might work or not work for you. And if you are getting this result as with mine, which we are blowing all the colors, then you have access to these nice overlay controls, which you can basically play with. So for example, I can drag down the saturation just to reduce it a little bit from this example. I'm going to press Command Z in order to undo it. Of course, you can always change the hue if you like to choose a different color. And if you don't like to use those overlay controls, you can turn them off and go down the list here. And basically they are under gradient HSL. So you can also play with those numbers from here. Now, in my case, I'm not going to play with those. I think that I'm just going to return to the Luma correction. But I do want to show you how you can correct elements separately, meaning that we will choose a different colors for the text and a different colors for the background. So let's say that we want to keep those heatwave color scheme just for the background. Just drag this adjustment layer and place it underneath the 3D text. This way, of course, the text will not be affected, just everything below. And now you can basically return to the 3D text layer and apply another instance of the BCC colorize just to color this layer. So working like this, you'll have control on which layer you are correcting. So in this case, let's once again choose one of the presets here. I'm going to go maybe with the strong magenta. And this is just so I can show you that, of course, after selecting one of the presets, you can always take a look at what it actually does. In this case, it uses color 3. So this is color 3. So of course, you can press on this color and maybe choose a different one. So let's say something in these areas. And of course, you have a lot of other controls here inside the plugin, or you can just go here and mix it with the original. So if I'm going to say maybe 35%, then we'll have a little bit of colors coming from our original design. Now, if you want to modify the original colors of the text itself, most of them will be found under the material. So in this case, we have 3 materials, front, back, and bevel. So if you want to change those colors, you need to worry about the diffuse of the front and then open up the side material and then once again worry about the diffuse of this color and etc. However, in this case, it will not do anything because this layer is actually using a color map which I've prepared earlier. So if you want to change those colors, and in order to show you what it will look like, I will have to go and just make sure to dismiss the BCC colorized because now we are changing actually the colors of the preset itself. And let's go down here in the timeline and you will see a color map layer which is locked. Unlock it and then select it and make sure to solo it. Now go under the fill properties here and just modify the color to your needs. So instead of maybe a magenta color here, I'm going to select it and maybe change it to some kind of a cyan tint And maybe here I'm going to do this one as well. And maybe also select the middle one and make it a little bit more darker. So there I control the color map of everything. Now just turn off the eye for it and it should update. And now we see that these indeed are the colors that we chosen. Now once again I'm going to select the 3D text, scroll down until I see the colorize effect, and then I'm going to apply it on top of everything. And once again you can control the mix with original in order to create the colors that you like. Let's visit a couple of more places in this timeline. So let's go to the end just to take a look at how this will look. And let's go to maybe the beginning to see the results of this frame. And if you are happy like I am, you can now render the file and use it as is. Hi everyone, this is Eran Stern, and in this tutorial I want to show you how you can work with different bit depth inside the broadcast graphic templates based on Boris Continuum Complete. Like always, I'm going to start with the content gallery PDF in order to find myself a theme to work on. So double click on this in order to open it, and this will allow you to preview all the templates that you have here. In this case, I'm going to choose this one, which will work beautiful for some horror or mysterious theme. And then I'm going to hide this PDF, go under the templates folder, and under the spooky, I'm going to double click on this. Now I'm working on After Effects CS6, so I need to convert this from CS5, so I'm going to press OK. Now the project will be opened. I'm going to zoom out, so we'll get to see more of the canvas area of the composition. And first, let's just change the text to say something else. So, as always, the layers that you need to worry about are highlighted using the cyan label. So this is the only layer here showed in cyan, and we also get a tooltip saying that we need to double click to change the text. So I'm going to double click, and let's once again zoom out and maybe zoom a little bit further, and then just double click on the text, and let's just type down the smoke. Now I'm going to select this type and then just drag it to the center of the screen because I think it will look a little bit better over here. And I also want to change the leading between those letters. Now this is a basic After Effects text. So if you like to do something like this, you can just double click on the last line here, the second line, and then just drag this until it will look a little bit better. Now when we will return to this composition, everything should be updated, and indeed it looks interesting. Now I want to call your attention that some of the templates are saved in a higher bitrate than usual. And by that I mean that in this case, this project is set to be 32 bit per channel. Now you can change it by going to the File menu, and here under Project Settings, you can change the depth. So let's change it to 8 bit per channel and press OK. And you may or may not see a change on the screen. Now, why this is so important? It is important because if you want to create highlights and glows, things that are super bright or super dark, then you have to rely on effects that supports 32 bits per channel. Now, luckily, most of the effects under the BCC categories do support 32 bits per channel. Some of them support only 16, and I will show you in a moment how you can find out which one are supported. But just in order to show you what I mean, I'm going to choose this glow adjustment layer, and then under the effects control, I'm going to open the glow, and then under the glow intensity, I'm going to change this number from 150 to 300. Then we see that some of the colors are being clipped due to the reason that we are working now in an 8-bit project. Now a quick way to change the project is to hold down Alt on PC, Option on the Mac, and just press on this in order to raise it to 16 bit per channel. And then once again I'm going to hold down Alt and press And now we are seeing the 32 bit per channel result. And you can see that we indeed have a much better glow that we have before. Only the bright areas are exposed. If you want to compare it, just take a snapshot and then convert your project to an 8 bit per channel project, and then just press on this guy and you can see the difference is huge. So in this case, I'm going to click twice in order to convert it to a 32 bits per channel project. And now I have more controls if I want to change these effects. And this, of course, is relevant to all of the project, all of the templates that you've got from me. Now, if you want to find out which effects support 32 bits per channel, just make sure that your project is on 32 bits per channel mode, and then go under here to this flyout menu and choose to show only the 32 BPC capable effects. And After Effects will only show you the effects that are supported. So you can see that, for example, in the colors and tones here, most of the effects are supported. Here under the lights category, also most of the effects are 32 bits per channel support. If you want to know which one are 16 bits per channel, then use the same trick. Once again, I'm going to hold down Alt and then press twice in order to get to the 16 BPC mode. And then this menu will show you only the 16 BPC capable effect. So now the list will be a little bit more wider, but of course we see that the result is a bit disappointing. So basically what I'm trying to say that when in doubt, just press and convert your project to 32 BPC and then work as usual. Do note that if you choose to work like this and you don't have sufficient RAM installed on your system, you might get a shorter RAM preview. So my suggestion is to work on 8 bit per channel, and then when you are ready to export, convert your project to 32 bits per channel. Check it in a couple of places just to see that the colors are looking as you expect. If not, come back to the effects and maybe tone them a little bit down. So I'm going to change this one to maybe just 200, and then render your final result. So let's go to the beginning here and create a RAM preview to see the outcome of this change. Hey, this is Eran Stern, and in this tutorial I want to show you how you can replace a vector art logo using the broadcast graphic templates based on Boris Continuum Complete. As always, I'm going to start my journey here in the Content Gallery PDF. This PDF will help you to watch and preview all the designs that you have here. So for example, you can just press play and watch some of them and decide what you want to choose. This one, for example, is based on vector art graphics, same as this one as well. Basically, what I want to show you is how you can easily replace these graphics, and the rest will be taken care for you. So it will be extruded and colorized the same way as you see in the preset. For this, I'm going to scroll down, and we're going to use this example, the Times Square, which look like something that might be suitable for a national or a memorial event, but we are going to actually convert it to something a little bit different, maybe a gaming week or something along those lines. Okay, so what we need to do, I'm going to hide Adobe Reader for a moment, is first find the template that we want to work with. In this example, this is the one, the Times Square. And here you will see that you have two elements. You have the After Effects project file and also an Illustrator document. So I'm going to double click on this and it will open up inside Adobe Illustrator. And my suggestion is to use this basic logo document just as a reference in terms of the proportion and scale of the logo. So what I'm going to do is first go over here to my alternative logo. And this is the one that I want to replace it with. So I'm going to marquee around everything and select it. In order to use these logos, you first must convert your text into outline inside Illustrator. This will make sure that everything will be translated as expected. In my case, everything here is already converted. So I'm going to the Edit menu and choose Copy. And now I'm going to select the basic logo document. And this is, of course, just a placeholder. You see that it says replace with your logo, long live, continuum complete. Wow. Okay, so I'm just going to memorize the scale of this logo, and then I'm going to select it and just delete it. There is another layer here which you can delete. It doesn't really matter. But now let's go under Edit and choose Paste. And then I'm going to go to one of the corners, hold down Shift and Alt, or Shift and Option on the Mac, and just scale it a little bit so it will closely match the previous design. Now I'm going to go to the File menu and choose the Save As command. And first I'm going to name this one Gaming Week. This will be the new logo. And then I'm going to choose the Adobe Illustrator format. I'm going to save it to the same directory. But here, this is the most important step. You must save it in an Illustrator 8 format in order for the BCC plugin to read it and extrude it as expected. So I'm going to say OK for this, and then I'm going to hide Illustrator. And now we have our own vector art, which we can use inside this template. So I'm going to highlight and double click on it in order to open it inside After Effects. I'm working on version CS6, so it needs to be converted from CS5. So I'm going to say OK. Now, of course, it opens with the placeholder logo here. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole composition. Once again, I want to remind you that all the composition that you are getting here is full HD. So if you want them a little bit smaller, you need to resize them. I'm going to show you how to do it in another movie. But for now, let's identify the layer with the cyan labels. As always, I made sure that it will be an easy task to replace them. So just highlight the extruded EPS layer over here. And then let's go to the effect controls, and under the external file, we'll need to load the new logo that we just replaced. So let's press on the little L here, and then let's point it to the Gaming Week logo and choose Open. Wait for a second and you will see that indeed it changes. Now, if you need to modify it here inside After Effects, you can of course go to the transformation of the effect and you can scale it down. So in this case, I might scale it down a little bit, so maybe just a touch, so 80% instead of 85. And I just want to call your attention that the logo came from Illustrator with its colors. So if you want to change them, the best and easy way to do it is basically return to Illustrator, change the colors over there, and then you are all set. Just make sure to reload it. However, there is an option to change it over here, but you might get some unexpected results because we have two colors. I'm just going to show you how you can do it. Just open up the front and bevel material. In this case, you can see it says keep EPS color. If I'm going to dismiss it, then I can colorize it here inside After Effects and basically choose a different diffuse color. So for example, let's say we want to colorize everything here to yellow. Obviously, this will colorize everything. So as I suggested, just keep the EPS color and change the colors inside Adobe Illustrator. So basically this is it. You're all set to go. Now, if you want to change something in terms of colors, you can add an adjustment layer and just play with the colors of the whole template. Or as we've seen before, in this case, we have a colors layer. And this is a shape layer, which basically controls the colors of the background here, because obviously the foreground colors are a part of the Illustrator design. So in this case, I'm going to unlock it and then select the layer and just solo it for a moment. And you will see that it uses some gradient. So I'm going to click on this gradient and maybe change the colors So let's say that the dark color will be somewhere around this red tint, so maybe a little bit more to the dark red. And for the bright colors, let's use some kind of an orange one. And I'm going to say, okay, this will replace this. And then you can turn off the eye and the background will be updated according to your needs. If you do want to see the colors of the background, you can actually leave the eyes here and it will mix itself with the colors of the shape layer. In this case, I think that the text here is relevant. So Hall of Fame is also relevant for Gaming Week. So I'm not going to touch it, but this is just a basic After Effects text, so you can modify it easily. Now I'm just going to visit a couple of places here just to make sure that it is working as expected. So I'm just going to park my timeline over here and maybe over here as well, just to see that we do indeed get an interesting movement and we don't lose any information in terms of what we are seeing. You know what? I actually think that we might get a better result if we are going to choose maybe a brighter color here and a brighter color, maybe a little bit more saturated color over here. I just feel that it will work better. And if you want, you can create a ramp preview or just render the file. And this is how you change and modify a logo artwork using those templates. I hope it gave you a few ideas and encourage you to play with those templates to really create your own unique look. Hey, this is Eran Stern, and in this tutorial I want to show you how you can change the duration and also the size of one of the projects inside the broadcast graphics templates based on Boris Continuum Complete. As always, we'll start with the Content Gallery PDF, which is a PDF document. You can open it inside Adobe Reader and watch preview files of everything that's included in this product. Except of just watching the previews, you can also search for some of the keywords that we've included. So for example, I'm going to invoke the Find dialog by pressing Ctrl F or Command F. And then I'm going to search for the word economic and press OK. Now, in this case, it found it under the World Report theme. You may or may not find the word that you're looking for, but if it is there, then it will highlight it for you. So first, let's take a look at the preview of this preset. And this is something which will work great for a business report or some economic or maybe a news screen behind the presenter. All of those presets are set to be 10 seconds. So if you want to reduce them or to extend them in terms of length, I want to show you how you can approach it. So I'm going to hide Adobe Reader for the moment and then go under the templates folder and let's open up the World Report. Now in this case, you need to install the font included with this folder in order to open it and use the same design as I did. If not, you can always replace it with your own font and your own design, but just make sure to install it before launching the project. I already did it, so I'm going to double click on it and say OK to convert it from version CS5 to CS6, which I'm working on. Now let's zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole canvas. Once again, I'm reminding you that these projects are full HD, 1920 by 1080. I'm using a smaller screen here, so I'm working in a quarter resolution. But you obviously will have a larger resolution, so you can take advantage of the higher resolutions as well. So if you want to change the text, this is very simple. As always, just identify the cyan layer here on the timeline and just change it to whatever you like. In this case, you need to go under the BCC type on text. Just press on the word here and just type whatever you want. I'm going to leave it as is for this example. I already showed you how to do such changes. In this case, I just want to show you how you can change the whole project in terms of size and in terms of duration. So the first one is pretty much obvious. I'm just going to show you what you can do. There are a couple of options. The simple option is just to create a composition that you need. So first of all, just create a new comp and then choose whatever preset you need in order to encompass the whole composition. So for example, let's choose HDTV 720 25 frames per second. And I'm just going to say OK. Now, before I'm going to change anything, I'm just going to double click on this composition, go under the composition settings, and first of all, I'm going to change the frame per second so it will match whatever comp I'm going to place this one into. So this is the first step. And then the second step is basically to drag this composition inside this one. And then if you use the same aspect ratio, in this case it is 16:9, you can actually go and select the layer, and under the layer menu, under transform, you have the option to fit it to comp. If you are not sure, you can do one of the other options here, which is fit to comp width or fit to comp height. And of course, if it won't fit exactly, you might need to scale it or crop it for your own composition. So this was very easy. However, here we have a problem because we defined a 20-second composition and we only get a 10-second comp. So what we can do here is, if we want to slow everything, we can go under layer, time, and just enable time remapping. This is the easiest way to go. And this will create two keyframes at the start and at the end of the composition, which means that now we can drag this composition out point until the end of this composition, and then just drag this keyframe to the end of the composition. Before doing so, I'm going to press on the caps lock key in order to prevent After Effects from rendering any changes. This will allow me to quickly stretch it until the end, and then I can release the caps lock, and basically After Effects will scale and stretch the composition. However, this is not always the case. Sometimes you only want to scale maybe or extend just the background without affecting the words, or just want more control in terms of what you are moving inside this project. So let me show you another way to do so. And by the way, it will work the same for reducing the composition and extending it. However, for the extension, in this case, we'll need to work a little bit harder because this composition consists of a lot of pre-comps, as you can see here. So let me quickly show you how this would be done. I'm going to return to my World Report project here, and this is the original one. And first, I'm going to change it to be shorter, meaning instead of 10 seconds, I might want to only render 5 seconds. So another way to do it is just place your current time indicator here under the 5-second mark. And then I'm going to press N in order to define a work area. And now I'm going to press on the grave or tilde key just in order to maximize the timeline to the whole screen. Then I'm going to select all the layers by marquee around them. And then I'm going to press U in order to see all the keyframes. Now, if we want to squeeze the keyframes here, you can actually go and do the same thing, meaning that you can marquee around everything. And once again, I recommend to press on the caps lock, which will prevent After Effects from trying to refresh it while you are dragging. This will make the software more responsive when you are doing such changes. Now, while everything is selected, hold down the Alt or the Option key and then just drag from the end until the 5-second mark. And there you go. We squeezed all the keyframes. And if we're going to take a look, now we have a shorter animation without doing the time remap thing. So now if you just want to render the 5 seconds here, just right click on this one and say trim comp to work area. And by the way, if you want to reduce your composition to a smaller size, you can also try to use this script, which is included with After Effects. scale composition. Before using this script, make sure that under the preferences, under the general tab, you will allow scripts to write files and access networks. This has to be checked in order for the scripts to work. And then you can go under file, and from the scripts, you can run this script, scale composition. However, just before doing so, there's another gotcha which most of us, including myself, always miss. And this is just to make sure that you are not hiding any layers or you are not locking any one of them. And just to let you see what I mean, I'm going to once again press on the grave key. You see here we have a blur map layer which is locked. So I must release this lock in order for this script to work as expected. Okay, now that I did it, I'm going to deselect everything. Once again, I'm going to return to the regular view and note that this composition now is 1920 by 1080. Let's say that we want to reduce it to a different size, and we only know the width. The width should be 1050, something similar to PAL widescreen square pixels, although the aspect ratio is not going to work, but just to demonstrate the purpose of the script. So select the composition in the project panel or highlight it in the timeline, and then go under scripts and then choose scale composition. And here you can set your new comp width. So I'm going to say 1050 and press scale. Now it may look like nothing is happening on the screen, but actually it already did it. So you can close this, and if you check the info here, you can see that this comp is now scaled to the new size, which is 1050 by 590. And if you do want it to be exactly like one of the presets, which means in this case PAL widescreen square pixels, then select the composition, go under the composition menu, choose composition settings, and then from here change it to be whatever you like. So just make sure to set first the initial width and then change it to the preset that you need. Press OK, and After Effects will crop it for you. Now obviously a couple of the pixels here are being cropped, but this is the most efficient and quick way to really scale the composition without placing them inside a different comp. And the thing here is that we do indeed have access to everything. And also, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, it's going to render quickly because we are using smaller layer size. Okay, so this was quite easy. And now let's see what we can do if we want to extend the length of the composition. So imagine that you want maybe these graphics to be loopable instead of for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, maybe to 20 seconds. And you do want to keep all the layers intact. You don't want to change the speed of it. So I want to show you how you may approach this task. So first let's go to the composition menu, and under composition settings, let's give ourselves 20 seconds instead of 5. So 20 dot. It will jump the 20 to the seconds mark here. And when we are going to press OK, we will have more room in the timeline. Now let's go and park our cursor at the end of this timeline. And let's give ourselves a little bit more room just in order for us to see all the layers here. And then I'm going to also make sure that we are fitting the view to this area of the composition panel. Now I'm going to select all my layers, and then I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut to extend them until the end of my new timeline. So the keyboard shortcut is to press and hold the Alt or Option key, and then the closing square brackets. And this will basically take all the solids layer and just expand them until the end of this composition. However, we see that we have few problems. We lost the sphere and also the earth, so all the nice graphics that we had before are kind of not visible. For this we have to extend this composition, but you cannot drag them because they don't have sufficient frames. So the solution for that is just to double click on this composition and then change the duration inside of this composition. So once again, let's go to the composition settings. Let's go and change the duration to 20 seconds. Once again, zoom out so we can see everything. Select all the layers. Hold down the Alt or Option key and the closing square brackets. Now we are getting very close, but we are still missing one composition here. So I'm going to once again double click on this one, and then I'm going to once again extend the duration of this composition. Now this is a complex project, so we have to do it for all the comps which are inside. Usually most of the templates that you are getting from me are not so complicated, so if you want to extend them, it should be easier. But I just wanted to show you what you need to do in order to change it. So let's return to the previous composition. Now we can drag this composition all the way, and we should have all the animation in place. Now, if you're wondering about the speed of the animation, I'm just going to create a quick preview so you can see that everything is still revolving in the same speed. And the reason is that I've used expression in order to drive those animation. So if you're going to select everything here and press U in order to see the keyframes, you can see that I've basically tied all the parameters here using expression. So even if we are extending the length of the layers, they are still going to revolve and animate using the same timing as before. Of course, if you are into expression, you can open them up and just change whatever you want, but I just wanted to show you how this could be done. So let's come back to our world composition. We can see that now we indeed have the ability to drag this composition. So once again, I'm going to press on the caps lock just in order for things to be a little bit more quicker here. And then we need to do the same steps for the earth composition. So I'm going to double click on it just in order to open it. Make sure to extend it as well to the same duration. So I'm going to do it right now fairly quickly. And then once again, select all the layers here, press Alt and the close square brackets, and just create a quick run preview just to make sure that indeed this is working as well. And by the way, you can use this design as well if you need to, because they are very interesting, and you can once again take those templates, open this composition, and then just use whatever you want from them. So for example, you can just extract this composition and use it as a base to your own design. However, for now, I'm going to settle for this treatment. So I'm going to come back to my original design, then park my cursor at the end of this timeline and just drag it. Just make sure that everything here indeed is ending at the 20-second mark. So once again, I'm going to visit a couple of frames here just to render a few to check that it is working. And you can see that indeed we established a new length to this composition, and everything is following the same rules, meaning that the speed of the animation is still the same. The letters animation will be finished at 10 seconds, and then they will stay on the screen, and the earth will continue to revolve. Everything is going to work as you expect. So this is how you change the duration of the composition and also set different sizes for the comps themselves. Hi, this is Eran Stern, and in this tutorial I want to show you how you can change, modify and control some of the camera moves which are included in the After Effects project files with the product named Broadcast Graphics Template based on Boris Continuum Complete. Like always, we are going to start with this PDF document, the content gallery. Here we can browse and preview some of the presets that we have. So for example, let's play this one. Wow, this is very nice. I can think of a couple of usage for this one. Excellent. Okay, so maybe let's go with this. Let's see what this does. Also very nice. I love the particles. Of course, you can change the colors here as I showed you before. But for this example, let's go with this fancy one, and this also have some audio for it just to emphasize the impact. So first let's play the preview here. Now, very impressive promo for maybe a reality contest or some kind of a culture of music program. I can think of other examples as well, but we might want to change the angle of the camera so it will look a little bit more interesting. So let me show you how you can approach this task. I'm going to hide this document, and then under the templates folder, I'm going to identify this project. This is the Worlds Collide, the one that we just saw. I'm going to double click and open it. And then I'm going to say OK to convert it from version CS5 to version CS6, which I'm working on. In this example, I'm not going to change the text itself. I already showed you how to do it in the previous tutorials. Just make sure to identify the cyan layers and then modify the text to your needs. Here I'm going to show you how I built the camera rig, and I've used the same principles in the other templates as well. So every time you are seeing a camera, not all of them has a camera, but those of them that has 3D object with a camera, you will mostly have control using this camera orbit null. This is a basic 3D null object which controls how the camera is moving in the scene. So let's zoom out a little bit so we can see more of this composition. And I'm going to go to the end of the timeline by pressing End on my keyboard. And then I'm going to select my camera 1 orbit null and press U in order to see the keyframes. And this is all you need to worry about. So if you want to choose, let's say, a different angle for the ending of this promo, of this introduction, all you need to do is just change the parameters of this null object. For example, let's change the Y rotation from -10 degrees to something a little bit more obvious. So let's choose -50 degrees. This will change the camera and the whole project. Of course, now we need to move the camera a little bit in terms of panning. So I'm going to choose the X position for the null object and maybe drag it, say, 4,000 pixels. So it will be a little bit more towards us. And of course, here you can play with it as much as you like. We can also work with the Z value here. So maybe let's change this one to 350. And if you like to get a little bit closer, you can press Shift S to show the scale values of the orbit null. And in this case, you actually have to choose a lower value here. So maybe 70% will get you a little bit closer to these letters. And basically, this is all you need to do. And now we've created a different kind of camera. Of course, you can add your own keyframes. So in this case, let's add a keyframe for the scale value. Go to the previous keyframe and just modify it if there is a need. So in this case, maybe let's choose 110 to actually pull the camera away from us. So this will make the camera a little bit further away. And that's it. Basically, you're all set to go. So this is the first pose of the camera. Now this is where the letters are colliding, and let's move forward in time to maybe 3 seconds. And we can see that indeed we have a nice camera move, and everything, including the particles and the dust and all the things that are happening here, will respond to the camera movement because all those BCC plugins are 3D aware, meaning that they know about the camera location in the scene. So let's go to the first frame and just check it in motion by creating a quick run preview. And so this is how easy it is. Just make sure to be careful when you are working with those null objects that controls the camera, because you might end with an unpredictable movement of the camera. I try to work a lot on these camera moves and finesse them to the point where they are really helpful to tell the story. So my recommendation is to either change the ending pose or the starting pose and not to add too many points in between. This will give you the best results. That's it for the training of this product. I just want to remind you that those templates that you've got are just a starting point. I encourage you to play with the settings, open the project, create some nice camera moves, change the colors, change the text obviously, and create something unique of your own based on these templates. I want to thank you for purchasing this product and wish you all the creativity in the world. And until next time we'll meet, this is Eran Stern saying goodbye.